Hi everyone. Before I start with the video, I would like to tell you all a huge thank you for all your support and really the lovely comments on the lunar eclipse video that I posted a couple of weeks ago. Honestly, guys, I absolutely never expected that. I was so overwhelmed with such a wonderful response I received from you and all the comments under the video. They were so wonderful to read, and I really received such a huge support, and really this was a very warm welcome for me. And as you can see, I'm really deeply moved and very emotional about this. So I really wanted to say I feel so deeply grateful to receive this loving response from you all. Thank you, really, thank you. I humbly accept your love and your kindness and send you all from the bottom of my heart, really, blessings, warmth, and love. So thank you again. Thank you. And now, without any further delay, I'm tuning in to share with you some insights on the next eclipse coming in the first eclipse cycle for this year. This is the solar eclipse happening at almost 20 degrees, which is 19.47 degrees of Gemini, and it's happening today on the 10th of June 2021. As a start, I would like to just give you a short idea for the solar eclipses and why it happens. So every solar eclipse, it's actually a new moon happening in a close proximity to the south or to the north node. And to be more precise, the sun and the moon need to be at a maximum of 18.5 degrees away from any of the nodes for an eclipse to happen. In this particular case, we have the sun and the moon at a 10-degree distance from the north node. So this is absolutely going to be a solar eclipse in a close proximity to the node, indeed. And depending on whether the sun and the moon conjunction is close to the south or to the north node, as I mentioned before, the eclipse will be classified as either a south node or a north node eclipse. So as we know, the nodes of the moon are related to fate and to karma. So they also carry the energies of the past and of the future lifetimes, because this is what actually the south node and the north node are set to represent in our charts. Where we come from and where we are heading to. And of course, naturally, in this sense, eclipses bring karmic events in our lives and events which are meant to be and which aim to align us to our true purpose in life. So when the new moon is close to the south node, then it will involve events which are pushing us to let go of something, which is preventing us from moving on to our life purpose. Or like in this case, if it is with the north node, then we will be pushed to step into something new that will lead us further on our life path, and that will give us the experience that we need to grow further. So this is only one more. I would like to only mention one more general thing that before I go into the actual energies of the eclipse, so that you can somehow see and measure the strength of the eclipse. As you probably already know, there are different types of eclipses, and not all of them are equal in strength. So I will mention the types of solar eclipses in order of their strength, so that you can get the idea of this relative strength of the eclipse in Gemini. So the strongest solar eclipse, this is the total solar eclipse, followed by the annular solar eclipse, which we will have now. Then comes the hybrid, and then the partial solar eclipse. In this particular case, as I said, we will have an annular solar eclipse, which will be occurring when the new moon will pass between the Earth and the sun. And actually, the moon will obscure the image of the sun and make it invisible for us on the planet Earth. However, because the moon is very far away from Earth and it looks smaller, it will not fully cover the disk of the sun. So right behind the moon, if you can imagine, like if this is the sun and this is the moon, so right behind the moon, there will be like a circle of light. It will be like, sunlight radiating a luminous circle around the edge of the moon, and it will look like a halo. And I would like to just say a few words about this symbol of the halo, because it really resonated with me big time, so to say. And I decided to share this insight with you because the symbol of the halo actually has a very deep meaning. This is only accorded to the holy and represents the pure spirit. And this is reminding us that we are all divine beings incorporating a body and the soul, which is the moon, and an intellectual mind, which is the sun, and the spirit, which is represented by this halo, the circle of divine light. And to me, this symbol of the halo represents the idea of the Holy Spirit, and these very rough times that humanity is going through right now. This is a sign that darkness will never be able to overcome light, and that what is holy and divine will always find its way to shine through, because light, it's so penetrating, it will always find a way to shine through the darkness. On a more individual level, the halo can be seen as a simple visual expression of a kind of a determinism which envelops each man within his mode of being, which are the moon and the sun, and also incorporates the destiny, which is represented by the nodes, and the North Node particularly. And it's telling us that whatever we need to go through has divine meaning indeed, and we need to trust the higher purpose of things if we are not able to see it clearly right now. Yeah, because the eclipse is actually in a square to Neptune, but I will come back to this in a while. So each of us indeed all has light and a dark side, and the battle within us is very real. And any eclipse practically represents this very special relationship between the two lights within us, between the light and the dark, the shadow and the light, and how sometimes light prevails and sometimes darkness falls. And however, there are always fated signs and synchronicities which are reminding us of the divine creation, and this memory can serve as a turning point for us on how we implement our free will in this symbolic battle between light and darkness, either on an individual or on a more mundane global level. So the sun rays coming through the darkness remind us that no matter what happens, we are loved and protected, and there is a divine plan for each of us. And we need to trust and surrender to this plan. We need to have faith, which is represented by Neptune, because light comes and goes only when it touches something material, when it reflects on something. While within any realm outside of the material world, outside of matter, light becomes this unstoppable and like everlasting form of existence and life, which is penetrating through all. And it's like a representation of the eternal divine love. So having light during this annular eclipse in the form of this halo, to me, it's a real sign that this divine love is supporting us, that we are being reminded that we are a part of this eternal divine love. And this is actually what created us. So we need to really remember when we make our choices that it is the divine that each of us carries, and that we are actually always being supported. Astrologically speaking now, this eclipse, as I mentioned, is in an applying square with Neptune, and square is a hard aspect. It gives some disharmonious energy. And Neptune rules unconditional love and the spiritual realms that I mentioned before, and the unity of all things. And the fact that the square is applying, this means that it will become exact very shortly after the eclipse, when the moon moves on and when the sun moves on and reaches this 23rd degree of Gemini. And this means that the eclipse, at the point when the aspect between the sun, the moon, and Neptune becomes perfect, there can be some event triggered, causing some crisis of faith represented by Neptune. So additionally, the eclipse is happening in Gemini and Neptune is in Pisces, both of which are dualistic signs. And we have lots of mutable energy with this solar eclipse additionally. So this is once again highlighting the war within us. The sun and the moon are the personal planets. And as you know, and then Neptune being in a square and representing the more general, the mundane war between dark and light on a collective level. And again, it will be up to us which of the two twins and exactly which fish we choose to connect with in the time of darkness, you know, which is like symbolized by the eclipse, because actually the light becomes so obscure, it's in a shadow. And yeah, I think that once again, we will be really guided and prompted to make a choice, whether to surrender to this temporal darkness and uncertainty and allow it to overshadow our thoughts, words, feelings, actions, wishes, and our relationships, or to choose light and, you know, to just keep a more introverted perspective and wait for better times to come so that we can manifest the virtues. And the eclipse will actually affect each of us in a very different way, depending on the set of qualities represented by the house that it falls in, and to any aspect that it makes with our personal planets in the natal chart. So it can be very personal. For some people, it can have a really huge impact, especially for those who are born on an eclipse, because they have like a more fated life in general, and eclipses have a huge effect on them. And or, you know, for some people who don't have any planets in the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius, around, I would say, between 15 and 25 degrees, maybe this will not be such a strong impact. By the way, Victor and Karine made a very detailed video on the eclipse. It's almost 2 hours. It's like a webinar to me. I really enjoyed watching it, and they give a very detailed description of how the eclipse will affect each sign. So if you would like, you can really search for it and watch the predictions to see some ideas. I would recommend watching your ascendant sign, from your ascendant sign, and then moon and sun. Yeah, and among others, there is one more thing that is really very special about this solar eclipse in Gemini. And this is the fact that the ruler of the eclipse, which is Mercury is in retrograde, and it is in applying aspect within 1 degree of the new moon, which means that it's going to become Cazimi with the sun, making it really, really very strong very shortly after the eclipse. And having Mercury in retrograde, being the ruler of an eclipse, this happens really very rarely. Honestly, I couldn't find this happening within the past over 100 years. So it's really something very rare. And I would say that despite this is a solar eclipse with the North Node, usually, you know, prompting us to act, set intentions, to start something new, pushing us to start something new, because we have Mercury in retrograde, and you know, it's in rulership, but still it's in retrograde, it leads me to think that it's time more for turning our vision internally and being more introspective within us. It's like, you know, the time to collect and carefully choose the blocks, the building blocks, before we actually start building our own house. And our own house, you know, this is, I mentioned this symbolically, this can be anything that we would like to start. It can be, you know, any new project, you know, depending on the house where the eclipse falls in for you. And the duality of Gemini and Pisces could be related to delusion, cheat, lies, hypocrisy, also chaos, meanness, you know, doing hidden things, manipulation, doing things behind the scenes. However, the higher manifestations of these same signs are related to intelligence, sensibility, reason, rationality, also empathy, being responsiveness, compassion, charity, and so on. And here I would like to also mention that the eclipse is in a white trine to Saturn. It's a separating trine. However, I think it will play a very supportive role in terms of being able to diligently follow the choices that we make. So really, guys, I think that the question with this eclipse specifically is, what do we choose? Which way shall we go? Is it darkness or is it light? Is it lies or is it honesty? Do we choose to, it also not only in relationships, but also within ourselves, and how we are going to evolve, how it will manifest within our personal life. Do we go for the sins, or will it be manifesting, will it be like representation, a manifestation of these sins counterpart virtues? And it is really interesting to see how astrology works, and what a great tool this can be to recognize and to appreciate all that is coming to and going out of our lives. So my personal example, I would like to share with you with what happened during the lunar eclipse, actually, and the great manifestation, with all your support that I received, and this great manifestation of the eclipse's energy, again, this really pinpoints the topic in a very definite way. Because practically what happened for me during the lunar eclipse, it happened in my second house, because I'm a Scorpio rising, and was that I had to really give up some of my fears, not all of them. I still have a hard time managing them, but still I feel much better now, and I'm starting to manifest. And my fears regarding how others see me, and this lunar eclipse actually, helped me introspect and see what I can do, and it absolutely made me jump into the cold water. And honestly, guys, really honestly, I had absolutely no idea that I will receive such a huge support from all of you. And so the solar eclipse is happening in my 8th house, which is the opposite of my 2nd house. And this is other people's resources. And this was already manifesting for me through the love and through the beautiful energy that I received from all of you. And this is something I feel so overwhelmed and so emotional, because I really feel the love, and I received so much from all of you. And also Victor actually launched me on his website at the day of the lunar eclipse, which I felt was a huge support, and it was aligning me more with my true purpose. So yeah, that's how it played out for me. And I really hope that this eclipse season will play out greatly for each of us, and that we will be able to somehow go inside, look at our demons, face them, and really manifest in a very positive way for us. And even if we are not able to see the purpose and why some certain things are happening right now, which we might feel as very challenging and difficult, we really, I think that it is important to trust the divine, and to trust that whatever happens, there is a divine plan behind it. And yeah, with this Neptune in Pisces, I think that we are prompted to surrender to the divine powers. So yeah, guys, that's from me. It's a little bit shorter video this time. And yeah, if you liked it, if you liked the video, or if you have any thoughts and insights that you would like to share, I will be very, very, very grateful to see your comments below. And yeah, see you for my next video on the full moon in Capricorn, guys. And once again, I would like really to say a huge thank you for all your support. And yeah, I love you.